Latest from Turkey, 5 people are dead, over 5,000 injured, and the Turkish Prime Minister he says he's had enough. He's issued his final warning. Leave that square in Istanbul or you will be taken out within the next 24 hours. Author of A Battle for the Soul of Islam, Zuhdi Jasser, joins us now. Zuhdi, welcome back. It's good to see you, but the circumstances are grim because Turkey, in my mind, was always a moderate Muslim democracy that was very prosperous and going places and growing. It was a standout in the Muslim world. Would you make the judgment that it's now in serious trouble and really its democracy has to be questioned?
There's no doubt, Stu, and I think what we're seeing here is that this is a natural evolution of what happens when Islamists like the AKP get into power democratically by election. We're going to see this in Egypt. We're waiting to see it in Iran with the Green Revolution that died in 2009. And I think it's really a harbinger of what will happen in the Middle East, sort of in Revolution 2.0 and 3.0. And Turkey has led the way. It was a stable democracy. But once the AKP and their Islamists took over, Erdogan basically saw it as a license to do whatever he wants. There's been more and more repression. You've seen arrests for blasphemy laws. Pianists like Fazil Say was arrested because of a tweet against Islam. More and more arrests against free speech. The way they've dealt with the demonstrations, simply demonstrators that wanted to preserve a green area in Istanbul, it's spread now like wildfire because they said, you know what? This is the last straw. The secularists, the women's groups, the minority groups, the Christian groups that can't build a new church, the Alevis that have no rights compared to the Sunni majority. These groups are beginning to say, you know what, political Islam is not working for us. And it's not going to work because it's not compatible with democracy.
But Zuhdi, I mean, you're talking about a prime minister who, to your point, was not only elected 3 times, but each time by a wider majority. The last 10 years, this has been one of the most incredible economic miracles in the world. And let's face it, when they took over, you know, from the Ataturk type of world that went to war with the Kurds, that went to war with Greece, that had political repression, that had political coups. I mean, I think this is more of an idea of a guy who probably started off right. It may be an argument for term limits, but it's dangerous in my mind to go after this particular group and say that they're problematic when they promoted democracy, they promoted capitalism, because the alternative could be a lot worse.
Well, I'm sorry, as a Muslim, I have to disagree with you because I understand political Islam. It is not a democratic ideology that believes in preserving the rights of minorities. They will put on the veil of protecting minorities and tolerating them, but at the end of the day, it's a supremacist ideology that has never, in the end, been compatible with freedom and never preserved liberty. And just as Europe started democratically and ended up with Hitler and Mussolini and others, a lot of times political Islam can degenerate into fascism. Democracy is not just elections. Democracy, as we know in America, is about the protection of minority groups and how you deal with mass demonstrations and how you deal with minorities that want their rights protected. And Erdogan is really revealing, finally, his real stripes, which is really not about freedom. It might be about democracy that he views as majoritocracy, but it's not about liberty.
Last one. Do you think that Turkey faces an economic crisis? Put politics and religion aside for a second. An economic crisis. Because they've got a huge debt outside of Turkey, which they've got to finance with a declining Turkish lira. Economic crisis to come?
I think so, and I think that part of the economic crisis, right now they're one of the strongest economies in the region, but I think we need to follow our principles, our ideas with the economic pressure, because as we put more economic pressure, we will see change towards more liberty. While if we bolster, like we're trying to do in Egypt, the Brotherhood, if we bolster Islamists in Turkey, we will give them a pass, and economic pressure often is what brings better change internally.
We hear you. Zuhdi Jasser, we always appreciate you being on the show, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it, Stuart.